Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speedbuilding video. So in today's video I'm going to be building just a suburban family house, and I actually just want to start off this video by saying I hope you guys like my new intro screen. So as you would have realised, I do now have an intro screen and I've never had one before, and it's something that I've wanted since I started YouTube, which I believe was around October of last year. So it's been nearly a year now, it's been like 10 months or something, and I haven't had one this whole time, and I've really wanted one, but it just took me a really long time to actually figure out what I want. And if you actually go onto my channel, you'll have a look and you can see that I've actually got a new banner as well. I just completely redesigned the look of my channel. It's been something that I've really wanted to do for a really long time, and I just haven't had the time to sit down and actually do it until now, and I'm so happy with it. It took me a really long time to actually figure out what kind of thing that I wanted for it. I had mood boards, I had all these different things, just kind of grasp everything that I liked and everything that I kind of wanted my channel to look like, and I've finally done it. I've just completely redesigned the look of my channel, so hopefully you guys like it. But in today's video I am going to be building this kind of a typical suburban home, and this was just kind of something that I sat down, I was just really inspired to build something. I didn't really know what I was building, it just kind of came out like this. I had no reference pictures, I was just kind of building squares and then little rectangles. I actually started off with a garage, which is something that I never really tend to do. As you would have seen, I actually started off building this house by using some floor tiles, because I'm actually building on a lot in Willow Creek. I'm not sure what it's called, it's in the top left corner if you're curious. And this is actually a lot that I never tend to build on, just because I feel like this little area of Willow Creek, so this is actually where the goth household live, I feel like this little area is really dark for some reason. Maybe it's just me, especially on the world map as well. Like in the map overview of the neighborhood or the world, it's just really dark, this area, and I never really build here. I have done like 2 or 3 builds here before, but I don't really tend to lean towards building on this lot. But I wanted to build in it just because it had that like kind of garage bit walking up to the front. So if you would have seen, there was kind of 2 little lights and there was a kind of a space in the pavement, and I was thinking that would be the perfect place to have a little driveway. And obviously now with the new debug update, so we've actually got cars into the game, but not actual cars, just kind of like fake looking cars that drive around the world. I really wanted this house to have a driveway, and so that's actually how I started off the house. I kind of just built the garage and then just kind of built off that. I didn't really have anything in my head, I just kind of knew that I wanted it to have a garage, and that was it. So as you can kind of see, the main structure of the house has already come together really quickly, and I'm actually quite surprised it took me this quickly to kind of figure it out, and I'm already in and doing the floor plan. So this house is actually a 3-bedroom and 2-bathroom house. Downstairs there is a kitchen, a living room, and the dining room is actually in the hallway, but I kind of like it like that. And then there is also kind of a bathroom downstairs and this miscellaneous room. I did this in I think it was my last video, I can't really remember, but I did it in one of my most recent videos. It was just kind of like a little room in the house that was just kind of like a bits and bobs room. It had just a fish tank in it, had a sofa, and I decided that I was actually going to do one of their miscellaneous rooms in this house as well. So the room that is actually the garage is kind of like this little, it's kind of basically a garage. I wanted it to kind of be a little realistic room. So in there we do have like the woodworking table, we have some washing machines, we have the little card table thing. I think we got it with Get Together, where your Sims can kind of sit down and play cards and stuff. There is also a little dart board thing, I'm not even sure what it's called, but the object where your Sims can play darts and kind of like throw darts and play the game of darts, there is one of them in there as well. And then there is also a family computer in there. So I was kind of thinking that one of the parents of this household, maybe they have a job where they can work from home, maybe they're a writer, maybe they're a programmer, I'm not really too sure, maybe they're a freelancer, they could be whatever they want, but there is actually the family computer in the kind of little garage workspace. So maybe it needs to be renovated but they haven't got around to doing it yet or something like that, I don't know. But the family computer for the downstairs is in that room. Normally I tend to put them in my lounge rooms, or sometimes I decide to create a separate office, but just because I had the garage, I just thought it'd be perfect to kind of make that room into loads of different things. There is so many different activities your Sims can do in there, so your Sims will definitely not get bored, and they probably won't even have to leave the house as much, just because there is so much gameplay in this house. But now I'm actually moving back to the outside, and I've actually started doing the wallpapering for this house. Now originally when I was actually building just the initial walls and stuff, I was kind of thinking that I was going to go for a very black, white and grey theme for the exterior. Now something that I actually do struggle with quite a lot is actually just wallpapering of the outsides of houses. That is something that I can never really seem to get right. I always kind of struggle with it, and it's one of the things I really want to improve on. And I was initially thinking that I was going to do a grey, black and white house, but then it kind of turned into kind of like a grey and brown and white house instead. I do really like it though. I actually use the cats and dogs kind of little paneling off of the brown wall, and then I use, I believe, the bricks and the paneling for the rest of the house are all just base game ones. And now you can actually see that I've just actually pulled out one of my saved rooms from my gallery, or from my saved rooms, not my gallery, and I just got one of the cars and put it in front of the garage. Now I just want to say, if you haven't seen any of my previous videos, basically what I've just done is, a little while ago I went into my game and created kind of like these little rooms with all the different debug menu items that I typically tend to use, and I placed them into these little kind of squared off rooms and then saved them to my library. That way when I'm doing a build like this and I don't really want to turn on the show hidden objects sheet or the show live edit object sheet, the new sheet, I can't remember exactly what it is, then that way I don't actually have to turn that on and they're just always accessible. I have spoken about this quite a lot, but I feel like whenever I don't speak about it and I use one of my saved rooms in my builds, then I do actually get questions on it. So that's just how I did that. I just pulled out one of kind of like the standard kind of normal looking cars. It just kind of looks like a bit of a business car to me, so I decided to put this one in this house. But now I'm actually moving on and I'm doing the landscaping, so I absolutely love the way the landscaping came together for this house. I was actually really wanting to keep in the back garden landscaping, but I just didn't want to make this video too long. Without the screenshots, it's already 24 minutes and I've been trying to keep my videos kind of below 25 minutes recently, and so I did decide to cut it out, but you'll see it as I'm going around and actually doing the garden. But currently I'm actually doing the front garden and I just absolutely love the way this turned out. I just think it's so lovely. There is actually quite a lot of empty grass space, and I kind of like that in a way. I didn't want to clutter it up with a massive flower bed and just kind of make it too over the top, and so I did just do little sections of kind of flower beds at the front, and I just think it's so beautiful. In the back garden I actually do quite a lot of like flowers and plants, and I actually do a really large flower bed around the swimming pool, which I just think is so gorgeous. You'll see me move on to it in a minute. I really wanted to keep it in, like I said, but I just didn't want to make the video too long. But now I have actually moved on to the back garden, and you can kind of see that flower bed which I'm talking about. It kind of wraps around the pool and I just absolutely love the look of it. As you would have seen, I did actually place the swing set that we got from Seasons in the back garden of this house. I wanted to try and include as many kind of family activities in this house as possible. I was just thinking that a really big, kind, welcoming family lived in this house, and so I wanted to have as many children objects as I could possible. So I did just place the Seasons one in kind of like the back corner. I also did just place some sunbeds, and I actually put them at an angle. Now whenever I tend to do sunbeds and I put them in front of a pool, I don't normally tend to do them at an angle, but it was just kind of the way that the garden panned out, and I thought that it actually looked the best. And I also did just place the perfect patio barbecue just in the corner of the garden, and then I used the red shelf to just move some kind of little barbecue tongs and some spices just on top of it. If you don't know what the red shelf is, I feel like I talk about this in the majority of my videos, but it's basically a CC object that allows you to move things to a certain height. And sometimes if you use move objects and you press the 9 key, sometimes things can be floating, and that object just basically allows you just not to do that. I've actually got a link for it in my description box if you're curious and you want to download it. It is actually one of the most useful tools I use when I'm building, and now I feel like I can't build without it, so I would highly recommend just to trial it out if you like to build quite a lot in your game. But as you would have seen, I did actually just add a little table just in front of the barbecue area. Originally I was actually going to go for one from Get Together because it kind of looked like a very worn down table, and I was kind of thinking that if the table was outside, and obviously now with Seasons it's going to be raining a lot and all different kind of weathers, then over time a table would kind of wear. But then I couldn't actually find a correct chair to go with the table that I selected, so I ended up just using one of the, I think it's a base game at table and chairs, just for kind of like the little outdoor seating area for the barbecue. I also did place a little flower arranging table in this garden as well. I was kind of thinking that one of the Sims that lives in this house maybe really likes flower arranging, and I tend to put them in the majority of my gardens nowadays anyway. I also do place a little beekeeping hive or beehive, I'm not sure what it's called, but the little beehive that we also got with Seasons, just kind of by one of the flower beds. And then next to it I also did just place 2 little individual planters. Now I'm actually just going around and just doing a bit of terrain painting in the garden. I wasn't actually quite sure how I wanted to terrain paint it, but I actually do leave this little bit of grass over here just kind of by the swing set. And then as you will see, I'm actually going in and I use the kind of dirt tool on the terrain, and I'm kind of making it look like underneath either one of the swings, so kind of each one of the seats is kind of like a little like worn down area, so it kind of looks a little bit more realistic. Now I'm actually moving on to kind of like the little porch area as soon as your Sims will walk out the back door. There is actually 2 back doors in this house, so there is actually kind of one that goes from the hallway, and then there is also a little single door which kind of leads from that miscellaneous kind of garage room. On this little porch, I actually put the Seasons 2-seater sofa and the single armchair. I don't really ever tend to use them sofas, and I don't know why, because I actually really like them, and I don't think I've ever actually used them in this swatch. Maybe I did once, but never really, it's not an often thing that I do, so I decided to use them in this house. I just kind of felt like it went really well. I do just place a little table in the middle of them as well, and I use the red shelf again just to kind of move things to a certain height for that table, because I did actually size it down. And when you size down an object and then you try to place other objects on top of it, so clutter items, them items will try and clip to the original height of that object, and I just use the red clutter shelf to kind of get them to the exact height that I needed it to be. Now I am actually just going around and finishing up the garden though, and I do actually add some lighting in, and I'm absolutely in love the way that this house looks of a night time. I use the romantic garden stuff lights, and I go around and put them in all the flower beds, and I just think it just completely brightens up the look of the house of nighttime, obviously because it's lights, but it just makes it look so much nicer and prettier, and I'm so in love with it, and I can't actually wait to play in this house. But moving on, I've started going in and actually furnishing the inside of this house. So like always, I did actually do the wallpapering and flooring off camera because it takes me way too long to decide, and I did actually start off with the kitchen. So as you would have realised, I did actually do the same colour theme that I did in my 3-pack build, which went up last week. I was just so in love with the way that that kitchen turned out. I decided that I wanted to do the same kind of theme again. I used the same Parenthood counters in this kind of orangey swatch, and then it also matched it with the fridge and also the oven, which is also from Parenthood as well. And then I also do just use a little kind of a separate sink object in front of the middle of them windows. I absolutely love that the windows look out onto the garden. That's something that I always try to do in my houses anyway. I don't know, but if you've ever actually looked back onto my previous videos, whenever I do kitchens, they always tend to be looking over the garden. It's just something that I've always done, and I don't really know why, but I absolutely love that the sink just looks right out onto the garden, right onto the pool. I just think it's so lovely. I also did just use the little counter thing, so it's kind of like the tool counter, like the cabinets, and I used it, which has kind of like the little plates in. If you can kind of understand what I'm saying, it's the one that's on the side. I really like that little kind of cabinet object, but I find it really difficult to use sometimes, and it kind of fitted in perfectly in the corner of this kitchen. Underneath, I do just kind of place some little books and stuff, so it kind of looks like maybe that's where all the recipes are kept and all the cookbooks. I just really like that. But now I'm actually moving on and furnishing the lounge room. So in the lounge room, we do just have the Parenthood little fireplace, and then I'm actually picking out the sofas now. So originally I placed down this cats and dogs one, and then because we don't actually have a 2-seater of that one, I decided that I was going to scrap the idea, and I actually went for the season sofas, which is something that I'm trying to stop using because I feel like I always use the season sofas in my houses. They are probably one of my favourite sofas, if not my favourite sofa, and they come in so many lovely swatches. They look like such a comfy sofa, and I always tell myself to not use them because I feel like I just use them so much, and I feel like I've overused them. So in a minute, you actually see that I do actually decide to change the look of the sofas. The woods wasn't really matching anyway, because I actually originally went for this kind of light oak wood and kind of a white cushion and grey cushions. I do actually end up changing it to be the original cats and dogs one that I actually picked out, and I actually end up switching it to kind of like the cream swatch of it. And then because we didn't actually have any 2-seater versions of that sofa, I did actually just decide to put some little armchairs in it instead, and I still think that looks really cute. I just really hope that one day we could get a similar sofa to that cats and dogs sofa, just kind of in like a 2-seater swatch, or maybe they could update it and give us a 2-seater version. But in this lounge room as well, I do just have a little bookcase which is from Seasons, and I did actually clutter it up, but I did actually kind of speed through the cluttering just because I didn't want to make this video really long, and it was just kind of me putting a load of different miscellaneous items on top of it to make it look a little bit more realistic. This is actually where you see me go in and actually switch up the little sofa area as well. So this is the cats and dogs one that I was talking about in kind of like this creamy swatch, and I really like it. I also do have some children items in this lounge room as well, so I thought it would be a really nice thing if maybe the parents are watching TV and the little child is sitting down in the corner and playing with the teddy bear. I did actually also use the Parenthood. It's kind of like a toy box clutter item. It looks like a toy box, but it's not actually an item that your Sims can interact with, but I thought it looked really cool, so I did actually place that in the corner area as well. I am actually just finishing up this lounge room area now, and I'm just placing this little side table. I actually struggled with this quite a lot because I didn't really know how I wanted its look and what lamp I wanted to use. In the end, I believe I actually settled with this Seasons lamp and then just kind of clutter it it up with a few books and a few photo frames. I was kind of thinking it as well when I was going around this house that because we've now got the update where you can actually put your own photo frames on different kind of objects, so like shelves or bedside tables or something, I was kind of thinking that you might want to actually delete them photo frames and replace it with your own family photos, so photos that your Sims have taken of their family or something. I thought that'd be really nice, so that's what I was kind of thinking. Obviously you don't have to do that, you can keep the photos of all the fruit and stuff in, but that's what I was kind of thinking when I was going around and placing them little kind of photo frames. Now I'm actually moving on and doing the little dining room area as well. So the dining room area is kind of in the hallway, but it's almost separate at the same time. So as you walk in through the front door, you do have that little porch area, which I've actually just now moved on to, and then you kind of have to the left like the lounge room, and then to the right you kind of have this little dining room area. It's not actually a separate room, but it kind of feels like it's a separate room. I didn't want to close it off too much. I wanted the downstairs to be a very open space, but in this porch I do just have a little side table, which I always try to put by a front door so your Sims can kind of walk in, throw their keys down, throw their letters down, all that kind of stuff. I also do have a little Parenthood board just above the table. Now I actually placed this down more for look over purpose. I didn't actually place it down thinking that your Sims were going to use it. I have play tested the rest of the house and everything else works perfectly fine. I'm assuming that the Parenthood board doesn't work though, just because I didn't actually place it in a like an area where your Sims can get to. It might work though, I just didn't play test it. Everything else though in the house works perfectly fine. I am just finishing up this little kind of porch area and just adding the little kind of coat rack area where I have like shoes and just little bits and bobs to kind of make it look a little bit more realistic, so when your Sims come home they can throw their shoes down, they can throw their hat and coat and scarf and all that kind of stuff. And now I am actually just moving on into the garage room. So this is actually the miscellaneous room, and as you would have seen I do actually have a little woodworking table, and then I also placed some of these base game kind of cabinets above. Originally I actually placed them down, then I actually switched them out to be these jungle adventure ones, but then I do actually change my mind in a minute and I actually do go back and replace them with the original ones that I placed down. Next to it I do actually just have a little washing machine and tumble dryer. So when I was actually doing this house I did actually forget to put a laundry basket in, but I did actually add one in into the parents' bedroom, so you will actually see that in the screenshots. I just completely forgot about it when I was doing the actual house. There is one in this house, so don't worry about it. Your Sims won't be leaving just dirty washing piles around. And I do actually also add the little computer area into here as well. I use this base game desk, which I believe is actually an unlockable desk, so I think you have to be in the writing career to unlock it, but I wanted to use this one because it doesn't look like a very well kept desk. There's all different kind of boxes and books all on top of it, and there's actually kind of like a little kind of pinboard at the back of it, so it looks like it's got some notes on. And I wanted to use it because this room wasn't kind of like an office room. It didn't really feel as if it was an office, and it was just kind of like a whole cluster of all different items that your Sim wants to use, and so I felt like the little office space wouldn't be that clean and tidy, so I decided to go for that desk. And now I'm actually adding in that little kind of gambling, I think it's called a gambling table, or maybe it's just called like a card table, but your Sims can sit down and play card games on there. I wanted that to be in the middle of the room as well, so maybe one evening all the parents' friends come round and they play that game of cards. I just really liked the idea, and then I am actually going around and finishing up this room. I had that little kind of postcard thing, which is another one of my saved rooms, which I just pulled out. I have one for postcards as well, and I placed them on that little kind of pinboard. I placed it originally next to the desk area, but then I did actually move it just over to by where the woodworking table is, and then I also do just add a little calendar next to it as well. And now I am actually just finishing up that room and moving on to the upstairs. So as you would have noticed, I did actually decide to cut out the bathrooms for this house just because they weren't that interesting to watch, and I just didn't want to make this video really long. Like I said though, there is 2 bathrooms in this house. The downstairs bathroom just has a toilet, sink and a bath in it. I kind of wanted there to be a bath in the downstairs one because I was kind of thinking that the Sims that lived in this house will possibly have a dog. I did actually have some pet bowls in this house as well, so if you actually want to have dogs and cats or whatever, you can actually do that. There is some pet bowls, and I wanted there to be a bath downstairs, so I was kind of thinking maybe after a dog has come in from his walk and maybe gets a little bit dirty, then instead of having to walk the dog all the way upstairs to give them a bath, I was just kind of thinking that would be a nice idea to have a little bath in the downstairs bathroom. In the upstairs bathroom I do just have the same sink and toilet and all that kind of stuff. I just have an extra shower in the upstairs one as well. But now I'm just moving on and just doing one of the children's bedrooms. So I did actually decorate this house house to have a child's bedroom, a teenager's bedroom, and then a parent's bedroom. I decided to start off with the child's bedroom just because I was really excited to do it. I decided to go for this kind of like green theme, so as you will see there's a lot of green in the furniture, and I actually used the majority of the kids' room stuff furniture in this build as well. So in this room I actually used a get together wardrobe though, just because there was kind of like the perfect space for it, and I always try to use them when I can in my houses, and this house just worked out perfectly with the floor plan, so I was actually able to add one in. In this little bedroom though, we do just have some kind of different gameplay items. So we have the little science table, we have the little void crotter station in the middle, we also do have a computer in here, and then we also do have a toy box, and then I do just clutter it up with loads of child looking items, so some kind of games and toys and just little bits and bobs that makes it feel a little bit more like a child's bedroom. I am actually just finishing off the room now and just doing it some little shelves above the bed area, just because I felt like that little space just above the bed was just a little bit bare, so I do just decide to clutter it with some toy boxes or like some money banks and lunch boxes and all just kinds of little bits and bobs, just to make it feel a little bit more realistic and just a little bit more lived in. But now I am actually moving on and I'm starting furnishing it, the second bedroom. So this is the teenager's bedroom. This bedroom does actually have a double bed, and I was just kind of thinking that is just because they are a teenager. In this room as well, I do actually use one of the wardrobes that we also got from Get Together, but this is actually the one tile one or the two tile one. So the one that I used in the previous bedroom was actually one that fits into two tiles, but the one that I use in this bedroom only fits into one tile. They do look a little bit different, but I didn't really mind, and I kind of felt like maybe this teenager got the bigger room but she has a smaller wardrobe, whereas the child got the smaller bedroom but he has the bigger wardrobe. That's just what I was kind of thinking when I was decorating this. I did just use the cats and dogs bed though with the matching bedside table, and then like I said, I used the Get Together little walk-in wardrobe on the side, so that is kind of like where they can change their clothes and all that kind of stuff. But now I'm moving on and I'm just doing the little desk area into this bedroom. So originally I actually wanted a bookcase to be above the desk to kind of look like it was a built-in desk and bookcase kind of thing, and I tried it with this base game one that we got with the freelance update, and then I tried to place it next to these little Parenthood wall decals, but I just didn't really like the way it was looking. So you will see in a minute that I do actually end up deleting that, and I replace it with some just white base game shelves, and then I do actually decide to clutter them up instead. I just preferred the look of it, and I just really wasn't liking the way that it was looking with the bookcase, and so I do decide to just delete that little area and just kind of place these white base game shelves. And then I also do just place this little Parenthood mirror, which I never actually use, and I don't know why, because it's actually a really nice mirror. It's kind of got these little flowers in the corner as well, which I kind of felt like tied in with the rest of the room, because above the bed I do actually have this kind of like floral kind of wall decal as well, and I just kind of felt like it tied in with the room. I then just add a little computer onto there as well, and then I also do add a little mirror area into this bedroom as well. I use the one from Parenthood as well, and then I also do just place a little kind of a fairy rug on top of it. Maybe your sim who lives in this bedroom really likes to take a lot of Simstagram pictures. I was kind of personally thinking that the sim that lives in this bedroom, so the teenager, maybe one day wants to grow up and be a fashion photographer. Obviously we did just get that career with the new stuff pack, and so that's just kind of what I was thinking. I also do just place some kind of little wall decals over the windows just to kind of give this room a little extra something. It was completely plain white walls, and so I did actually kind of want to just add some more colour through wall decorations and paintings into this room, and I kind of felt like putting them little wall decorations over the windows just kind of did that a little bit. I do also add that little camera onto the desk as well. Like I said, I imagine that the sim that lived in here maybe one day wanted to grow up and be a fashion photographer, and so I decided to add it onto the desk. But now I'm just moving on and I'm furnishing the last room in the house. So this is the parents' bedroom. In here it's actually quite a big bedroom. I use the cats and dogs bed and the matching bedside tables, but the one thing, and I feel like I always say this whenever I use this bed, is I try not to use this bed only because there isn't actually a matching chest of drawers swatch. So with the cats and dogs we actually got two chest of drawers, but there is no matching swatch for this colour, so it's kind of like this really light wood. And so normally when I have to use it, I normally will try and use the kids room stuff tall wardrobe, because I feel like that kind of has a similar swatch, or sometimes I'll just use this base game kind of IKEA looking furniture, which is kind of in this plain white swatch. It's just really infuriating, and I really hope one day that maybe we can get another chest of drawers that comes in this colour swatch, because it's actually a really nice swatch, and I just kind of wish that it came on some chest of drawers. But in here though I do just have the normal kind of bedroom items. We have a little chest of drawers, we have a bed, and we have some bedside tables, and I am just going to finish it up and kind of clutter it up with loads of different objects just to kind of make it look a little bit more realistic. But anyway guys, I am actually going to end this voiceover here. So as always, you can download this house via the gallery. You can search my origin ID, which is JessicapieYT, or you can search for just the hashtag JessicapieYT or just the hashtag Jessicapie. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed watching me build this little family suburban home, and as always, if you do like my content then please subscribe, and hopefully I'll I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedbuilding video. Bye guys.